Hi everyone, my name's Kate Steele. I'm one of the senior psychological therapists at Kingston iCope. We're a psychological therapy service based in the Royal Borough of Kingston, and we wanted to release a short video with some general tips for mental well-being during the Covid-19 pandemic. Not all of these tips will be applicable to everyone, so please just take what's helpful for you and leave behind anything that you find to be unhelpful. If you're experiencing mental health concerns, please access support by contacting your GP. And at the end of this video, I'll provide you with our website details so you can complete a short self-referral form to access our service should you wish to do so. What we'll cover during this video is the impact of COVID-19 on our mental health, top tips for managing well-being during this time. We'll provide you with some resources that you can access should you feel unsafe in any way, and our contact details so that you can get in touch. We've been advised by the NHS and government to stay at home and observe social distancing rules for the time being. We've also been told that washing our hands regularly for 20 seconds or more can be one of the most effective ways of reducing our likelihood of catching the virus ourselves, and also of preventing the spread of the virus to others. So please follow your NHS and government guidelines and look out for updates to those throughout the remainder of the pandemic. COVID-19 may be having a significant impact on our mental health due to the fact that we've no prior experience of a global pandemic. And there's lots of distressing information being reported from around the world on the news on a daily basis. And this can lead us to worry about our health or the health of our loved ones. And of course, the lockdown has caused changes in routine, lifestyle, and income. So it may leave us feeling stuck or trapped. And it might mean that we're at home managing interpersonal relationships in a way that we've never done before. It's very natural to be feeling uncertain and to be having fluctuations in mood at this period. And we just want to provide you with some understanding about what you're experiencing and tips for managing. So one of the most significant reasons for an increase in anxiety during this time is that our natural threat response has been activated. The fight or flight response is a survival instinct in which the body releases adrenaline into the system to get us prepared to respond to danger. This can cause us to feel hypervigilant and wanting to access all the information we can about the virus in order to prevent ourselves from catching it. It can also lead us to have increased physical sensations as a result of that heightened adrenaline, which present as things like breathlessness, heart rate increase, we can feel hot and sweaty, or we might experience stomach trouble. For some of us, when we notice these physical sensations, we may interpret them as becoming physically unwell. And of course, that can be incredibly worrying. So we want to recommend that if you do feel physically unwell, you can contact the 111 NHS helpline for support. But we also want to provide you with some relaxation tools to help you combat any physical symptoms that are caused by the adrenaline threat response. Another reason we're experiencing significant changes in our mental health is that we've been in isolation for some time now. We've had restricted activity levels for several weeks, and this could be leading to flat or low mood. You might be feeling a lack of motivation or reduced energy, or you might find that you're just not interested in things that you usually enjoy. This can lead us to want to withdraw, and we tend to feel like we'd want to further isolate and want to cut ourselves off from other people. We might feel less productive and then feel guilty that we're not doing as much as we want to. And of course, that can create further feelings of low mood. So what we want to do is to help you to break that cycle. And one of the best ways to do that is to promote movement and activity. Movement can lead us to feel more upbeat, more hopeful, and to increase our levels of energy and motivation. It can help us to feel more productive and to want to communicate with others more, which leads to a feeling of connectedness. We can get a sense of achievement and enjoyment from some of those activities that we engage in. Sometimes we wait to feel more motivated. We think, I'll do it when I'm feeling a little bit more up for it, But actually what we know is that if we take that action, our motivation is more likely to follow. So here are some of the top tips with all of that in mind to help you manage your mood during this time. Our first tip is to maintain a routine where possible. It can be really tempting to stay in bed and stay in our pajamas, especially if we're not expected at work. But we want you to keep a normal routine as much as possible, to get up, get washed, get dressed, and to engage in activities, but also to remember that it's likely that you're going to find it difficult to be as productive as usual. You might be feeling more tired, and it can be really difficult to juggle things like childcare or working from home. If you're working from home, take regular breaks and remember to eat at regular meal times, as you would do if you were at work. Communicate with your employer that you're having difficulties, if you are, and schedule things with others in the house. So shower time, meal times, but also including a schedule of some downtime. It might be that you need to separate yourselves, having downtime in different rooms. So make a plan with the other people in your home. Make sure to reduce caffeine and alcohol intake so that you can get to sleep at your usual time. Again, it can be tempting to stay up and to sleep in, and that of course is totally fine every now and then, but you might need a little bit more rest than usual. But we know if we keep doing that during the lockdown, it might promote feelings of low mood. So just try to keep that routine where possible. Our second tip is to try and do things that fully engage you, but to keep a variety of activities. It might be helpful to introduce something creative, or listening to music, doing a puzzle, an audiobook, or it might help you to sort through something that you haven't done that you've wanted to do for a while. This can give us that sense of achievement. And engaging in a range of activities, such as things we want to do, need to do, and enjoy doing, can help us tackle feelings of low mood and worry. Our third tip is to limit your exposure to negative news. Our hypervigilance leads us to want to get as much information as we possibly can, but what we know is that regular checking increases feelings of anxiety. If you're feeling anxious, try not to check the news too often. Limit yourself to checking reputable sources only, and do that just once per day. If you're feeling anxious, we'd recommend less than that. So either every other day or even less if you can manage it. Our fourth tip is to tackle tension that comes with our adrenaline response, and that is controlled breathing. So breathing in through the nose for 4. There's a natural pause at the top of your breath, so don't force the breath, and then breathing out through the nose or mouth for 6. We know that breathing out longer can cause a balance in the blood gases in the system, oxygen and carbon dioxide, and that can promote a really lovely feeling of well-being. And try to breathe from your diaphragm rather than up in the top half of your chest, because that's where we tend to breathe when we're feeling really anxious. Tip number 5 is to use progressive muscle relaxation. This involves holding and then releasing our muscles in a systematic way from our toes all the way up through our legs, abdomen, shoulders, arms, neck, and even our face. This can help to relieve tension caused by the adrenaline response. So give that a go. We'll put some more details on the website of self-help materials to ensure that you can do that in a safe and effective way. Tip number 6 is to challenge unhelpful worries. Of course, you're going to naturally be worried at this time, but something that we can get caught up in is a sort of chain of worries about the future or about things that haven't happened yet. We might find ourselves predicting the worst case scenario, and sometimes this can increase a sense of anxiety and low mood. So what we'd recommend is to start by noticing the thought that you're having, then asking yourself, is this thought a current problem or a hypothetical problem? Something that I might be predicting in the future, for example. The thought, what if I get the virus, is a current problem worry at the moment. We can then ask ourselves, is there anything I can do about this right now? And what can I do? So we know that we can follow the guidelines, wash our hands, use social distancing, and that these are the most effective ways of preventing yourself from catching the virus. But other than that, there's very little we can do to increase our certainty about what's going to happen in the future. So another good question to ask ourselves is, what evidence do I have right now that I am safe? And also, is there an alternative thought that I could engage with right now that might be more helpful for me? If our worry is hypothetical and in the future, then we aren't able to control anything to do with that. So it's most important to try to let it go. So tip 7 is to give you some ways of trying to let go of unhelpful thoughts. The first technique is distraction. So fully engaging in something else, something that needs your attention or uses mental focus, that can help you distract yourself from those unhelpful thoughts. It might be watching a film or doing some sort of puzzle that engages you mentally. The next tip is to engage in activity. As we've mentioned, movement can be really helpful. So exercise doesn't have to be a run. It could be something along the lines of dancing around the lounge to music. Anything that takes your focus away from those unhelpful thoughts and onto what you're attempting to do. And the next would be to try those relaxation tools that we've already covered, and anything that you find to be relaxing for yourself. And our final recommendation for letting go is to try some mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness is about bringing ourselves into the present moment rather than getting caught up in thoughts about the past or with thoughts about what's going to happen in the future. There are some really simple apps and websites online on how to meditate and how to use mindfulness. So check out our self-help resources on our website and see if that's helpful. Number 8 would be to talk to yourself in a compassionate way. When we're feeling low and anxious, we tend to talk to ourselves internally in an inner voice that can be quite harsh, and our self-critical thinking tends to increase. So try to think, what would I say to somebody else, and what tone would I use to talk to somebody else about some of these worries? If you're beating yourself up for not being very productive, we'd encourage you to try and be kind and patient with yourself. This is a really difficult time, and you can be more productive at another time if necessary. And remember to make time for rest and relaxation. Tip 9 is to stay connected with other people. We know that this can be difficult during the lockdown, but it might be as simple as chatting with a neighbour over the fence, whilst maintaining those social distancing boundaries, keeping 2 meters apart or more at all times. Try to stay in touch with your friends or family by telephone and internet if possible. And remember that you're entitled to set boundaries around when people contact you. If you're trying to keep in that routine and you get a video call or telephone call whilst you're making the dinner, it's okay to say, is it all right if I contact you later? So maintain your boundaries around your self-care. You're not obliged to talk or be in touch with anybody that you don't want to just because of the pandemic. So again, remember that it's okay to set boundaries around your connections. But what we do know is that being in connection with somebody once a day can be really significant for helping with your well-being. So we recommend connecting with somebody at least once a day. And our final tip would be that if you're struggling, to try to reach out. So tip number 10 is to ask for help. First of all, please contact your GP if you're struggling, or reach out to professional mental health services. You'll have a local improving access to psychological therapy service. If you look it up on the website, there'll be one near to you. That's IAPT. Also, reach out and tell somebody that you know if you're struggling. There are lots of local community groups at the moment called mutual aid groups, and they can help support you if you find it difficult to access the things that you need during the lockdown. When we're feeling low and anxious, it can be quite common to have thoughts of not wanting to be here or of wanting to harm ourselves in some way. And these thoughts can be really distressing, but are often temporary. If you're having thoughts of harming yourself and feel unable to keep yourself safe, please contact your GP by telephone or call the Samaritans on 116 123. Or you can contact Kingston Mental Health Support Line on 0800 028 8000. And the 111 NHS helpline is open and available for mental health concerns just as much as physical health concerns. So if you feel at risk of immediate harm, or you know anyone that's at risk of immediate harm, please contact 999 and ask for the ambulance or the police. Your mental well-being is just as important as your physical well-being during this time. So please do contact us on www.icope.nhs.uk/Kingston. That's our website, and there's a short self-referral form on there if you need to access support from our service. Our telephone number is 0203 317 7850, and we're currently conducting sessions via telephone and video call. We're also doing some online video groups. So we are still open, we're still available to help, and we'd really urge you to contact our service if you need any support. We hope that these tips have been helpful for you, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.